So let me wait to see if it's streaming or not. I had some problems with Windows, so the mouse was doing strange things. I don't think it was a virus, I think it was something to do with Windows, but I decided to reformat everything anyway. And I ended up losing the algorithms in the process because I didn't do the backup correctly. So I'm gonna have to do that again. I'm probably gonna do that while I stream sometime. I'm gonna put a timer here for 2 hours, I think. And then the other thing that I found is this script here. It's called Tron script, and apparently it's super good for checking viruses and also cleaning up the windows. And the other thing that I liked a lot, and it seems to work, it is that this script disables the Windows telemetry, which is the way that they quote unquote spy on you. So the way they get the data. So apparently this script deactivates that somehow. And then that's the reason why they show this, because they treat this as a threat. But yeah, I study a lot online about this, and then it seems like the reason why is because they block Windows from spying on you, or from getting your data, which is really good. So today what I'm gonna do is work on my portfolio, and I wanna go back or focus more on things that can potentially make me money instead of the things I go back and forth on this. As if you saw a lot of my videos, you probably seen this, but it's very difficult for me because usually when I think about this stuff, then my mind goes to a lot more complicated things, and then I start working on AI again and the fractal thing, which is what I'm actually interested on because I'm concerned about the AI. And yeah, but that's more long term. So, and now I think it's better to focus on things that can make me money potentially, and then focus on the AI stuff later. And that's the reason why I'm gonna work on this. And it has been a long time since I viewed this. So I remember it was in the very beginning before I did anything with Next.js, and I didn't know much about React as well. I knew how it works, but I didn't know the best practices or the way to structure things. So what I'm planning to do here is to add something that allows me to put Web3 into the portfolio and NFTs. I wanna do something in Binance because the fees are not high. The fees are very low to deploy contracts. So I think my idea is gonna be to create a different page for people that donate, or I'm gonna make a wall of NFTs. So I'm gonna make an NFT marketplace, and yeah, I'm gonna add that to the portfolio. I think that's gonna be interesting. So I have to remember how this is structured. I think to run is probably yarn. Oh no, it's npm starts. Huh. So, oh, maybe I don't have Node. That's the problem. So I have to install Node again. I forgot to install. I'm also thinking about eventually in the future to move on to Ubuntu or some Linux distribution. I think the only reason I haven't done this yet is because I remember trying to set everything up on Linux and the driver didn't work for streaming. I tried to install the driver, then as I was uh, restarting the system, I couldn't log in, and then I had a problem with the GNU shell or something like that, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work. I was just spending a bunch of time doing that, so I decided to go with Windows and wait for to do that later. But I might do that uh, soon, or build a virtual machine and then try to install the OBS on the virtual machine and study the drivers. Maybe I'll do that on stream, and then after that, if I can make it happen, then I'll think about installing Linux instead of Windows, and then I can use a virtual machine for to play poker on Windows. So the way that I did this was without doing routers. Maybe I'll switch everything up as well. So I used links instead to build the navigation there. Yeah, and I was gonna do a canvas to display the name. I remember working on that. I was doing particles. I was using particles to do an animation where I was gonna write my name or write VMS code, which is the tag that I use on my channel, so that every time the mouse moves, it animates the name. But then it didn't work because React is not very good for that because you can use some frameworks, and I remember researching that a lot, but it wasn't very good because you have to render the thing every time you're doing something with Canvas, or you have to do something more advanced, which is using libraries that manage state and context in a different way. Maybe if you use breakcoil or something like that, then it becomes better, but I still think it's very difficult to do Canvas things on with React because of the way that React handles state. So I decided to not do this. And maybe the code is still here. Yeah, I was doing these animations, trying to do an animation with particles. So the header, and this is the links, I think. Yeah. So what I should do here, I'm probably gonna do that. Switch this for routers instead of links, with the exception of the certificates and the hire me, probably, because those are outside. What the hell's going on? I'm also thinking about doing or building either a blog. I think I'm gonna do a blog and something with Shopify uh, for dropshipping stores. And I think that's a good goal or a good thing to build because it's it can make more or easier to find freelance jobs and easier to get hired, and also potentially allow me to build my own store and try it out because now I have some money from poker that I can invest on that. Maybe I'll have to restart this this version, something like that. Yeah. Let me see here first. Okay, so it seems like it was installed. Let me see if it works. I'm gonna open the Twitch here. Try to find. Not sure if I'm gonna be able to find by name. Okay. 'Cause I think I have on the about here. Not even sure if that's gonna work. Yeah, now I don't know which one. I think I'm gonna leave this one and then I'll search later. Worst case scenario, I could just reinstall this and go through that option again. Yeah, so this is the portfolio so far. Maybe I can also change this to be an animation. I was thinking about that as well, but I'm not sure how hard it's gonna be. Not an animation with Canvas, but there's an effect that other sites have where it just changes the letters or changes the writing from time to time. So this about, I'm gonna change to router. I'm gonna search for how to do that. You can copy from another project that I have. Oh, also, the way that I did is, if I remember, I do the build here, and then this is actually the code that is applied. Yeah. Because of the backend, the email service. was gonna look at this. And then I have to build here. Or maybe should import here and then um, do the routing here. It's probably better. Maybe not actually. Because I can just link to the components. There's also the CSS that I have to fix. I remember that was a pain in the ass. I was trying to figure out how to fix the CSS for the skills here because they get broken at certain width, which is not good. But I don't really care about that, to be honest. It's not as important as the other stuff in my mind. Because it's not something that is difficult to think about or to do. It's more annoying to do, let's say. I'm trying to think here if changing these two routers, if it's gonna change everything here, because I might have to put this stuff in components and change the navigation. I have to be careful to not leak anything. And just see if there is anything here. Yeah, there isn't anything apparently. How does this thing work here? Don't remember about. Let's see the other one. And so I'm running this from the back end. Let's see. Oh, I think it's based on the class, the CSS class. These things here, but maybe not. Yeah, probably not. Maybe this one is better. I forgot how to do this. I remember obviously the kind of the structure of it or the way that it works, but I don't remember exactly how to do it. Also gonna search for maybe videos are better.
Hey everyone, this is Tony Teaches Tech. I'm Tony, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use HTML anchor links to link to a specific part of a page. Now this could be
I also
linking
have
that
to
you're
install
currently on to a specific template,
MetaMask.
or it could be linking to a specific part of
Forgot
the
about
entirely
that.
different page. Like I said, we're going to be doing this with something called anchor links, so let's go ahead and hop on into the tutorial here. Okay, let me just show you what we're talking about here. So I have this blog post on my website, tonyteachestech.com/WordPress security, and up here I have pretty much like a table of contents for this list post. Okay, so if you want to jump down to number 5, change the default admin username, you can click on this and it's going to take you to that section of the page. If you noticed, the URL of this changed. It pretty much tapped on this hashtag or pound sign or number sign, and then change admin after that. So that took us to that section of the page. But how did it do that? You know, that'll work for any of these. I'm going to number 9 here. It'll take us down to number 9. Let me show you how this is done. Let's go to my WordPress admin dashboard, and I'm going to go to the actual blog post. So let me pull it up real quick. Header has an ID. Our first header has an ID of plugins, and that corresponds to this pound sign plugins. Okay. The second header has.
Yeah, so it's based on the ID, but I don't. The weird thing is that I can see the ID there. Yeah, this one work. So Oh, it's no, this is the same. So how is this working? If there is no ID, maybe it's not working. It looks like it is. Uh, it just goes through the about. Oh, it's this one. Yeah, I don't understand how this works. If it is, the ID doesn't exist for the home. It's weird. Oh, maybe what I should do before I do this is actually see in Git. I should do a different Git branch. Whatever. Oh fuck, I haven't set up Git yet as well. Oh, this is really old, I think. Nice. Yeah, so the problem here is that I probably did something wrong because there are multiple. And this should also be inside of here. And this is a mess, actually. Maybe I should do everything from scratch again, to be honest. I think I did an npm on the wrong folder, so I messed everything up. That's probably what's wrong. Can't really be that because then it wouldn't start anyway. And it's very confusing the way that I did this. I think I'm gonna delete everything outside of the front end folder. Just be careful to not open the wrong file there. I'm just waiting for the deletion. I'm gonna delete all those files and then I'm gonna try to figure out because there's something wrong. They're saying that it's 10,000 commits, Git commits. So I didn't add node modules probably to git ignore correctly. It is weird because there are 3 git ignore files and all of them have node modules, I think. Then what I'm gonna do is change the navigation to routers on the front end. I'm gonna create a new branch. First, I'm gonna have to see if it works still. Then I'm gonna create a new branch and then do the router, change the router. I don't think it's worth changing everything, but I should probably spend time trying to figure out the CSS as well, but I want to figure out MetaMask stuff first. But maybe it's better to just change the CSS for now, because I have to uh, because I have to see. Yeah, but now the problem is I don't know. And there, this is definitely wrong. I don't know why it's showing this. Because the VM .env files there. Let me put the .env file on the thing. I think I'm only gonna try to fix the CSS and the routing, and then I'll stop the stream and I'll install MetaMask. Then maybe I'll come back later and work on the Web3 stuff. Now it deleted everything. Okay. So now it looks like it's okay. Oh fuck. Did I commit the .env on the front end folder? Let me open Git and then see. I'm gonna go to the repository and see if it's probably not public, it's private, so, but obviously it's really bad if I deploy the .env to the repository, but it doesn't look like it's here. Let me push these changes and see. I had to pull some changes from the repository because I didn't have on this local one. Now I'm pushing the ones that I did on the local to the GitHub. And it looks like I pushed the M file on the last commit, but now I delete it. And see if I push the other ones accidentally. Looks like no. So now I'm gonna pull again. Obviously I'm not showing this because I don't want to show the aim file accidentally. I think it deleted the main thing there. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to redo this or pass the other one to the main folder. Maybe it is worth trying to do everything again because the way that I did this, the reason why I did things this way is because first it didn't have this part here because I don't think I knew how to do this. Yeah, I didn't know how to do it, and then I decided to put it after, and then I was hosting on Verso, but then Verso doesn't allow you to have a backend, and for this you need a backend. So I searched this stuff, and then I created a backend on a different folder, and then I have to see how to change this from React to start on the Node server instead. But now I'm not sure because the problem is I'm running this on port 3000, which is not supposed to be, I think, the server, the part of the server. So I'm not sure if I'm running correctly now. That's the problem. And the way that I did this stuff doesn't look like. Maybe I should do this all over again and then do it with Next.js instead. I think I'm gonna do that because it's probably better than I would just copy the code that I have from here into Next.js. and uh, I will do the changes then in Next.js. And then I don't need the Node server because I can use Next.js. It's not that big of a deal. It's a lot better actually. And once I get this one to the same points of the other one, of this one, then I can just um delete the other one. I think I'm gonna open this on the PyCharm just so I don't have, just so I can open a bunch, both at the same time because I already have VS Code open. So 3 VS Codes is gonna be bad. I think it's easier to move the stuff from the from PyCharm in one to the VS Code in the other one. And for some reason, it's not showing. Yeah, PyCharm is not showing the folder, which is weird. Okay, now it updated. Close this. I have to create a new one as well. Yeah, I'm gonna create a new repository as well. Just checking to see if I accidentally didn't push the .env file through here. I think I'm gonna have to search. 'Cause the only Next.js stuff that I did was with the Django backend. So I'm gonna have to search. I think I'm gonna do it with Node.js because I'm just gonna set up the email. So I'm gonna have to search how to do that. And let me think. Also, I have to create a repository. I do this with TypeScript as well, just to train and see Tailwind CSS. The problem with Tailwind CSS that I had in the previous projects is that it's not customizable enough. That's the thing. And the way that I did the other one was without Tailwind CSS. Maybe I can use the other one, which I don't remember really well how it says. I think it's S CSS or something like that. I like this guy's videos. They're really good. And I have to spend time thinking about this because otherwise it's a pain in the ass if I just start without the flags. Because I think if you're gonna use a CSS library, you can use some flag when you use the command create next app, and then it sets everything up for you, and then it's a lot easier. The other thing I think I'm gonna do is use Yarn instead of NPM because Yarn seems to be more updated or more recent than NPM. I think there's a lot of debate about that, but it's probably better to use Yarn, I think.
Let's talk about UI libraries and frameworks and how we build our user interfaces in web applications. I am pretty well known for my love of Tailwind. What I don't think I'm known for as much is my history with other UI frameworks and specifically the lack of care I had for most of them. When I started doing web development, the go-to solution was Bootstrap, and it was fine. When I got back into web development and got into the React world, we were just starting to move into style components, and it was fine. I then started playing with things like Material UI, Chakra for a bit, that would go into Radix and React Aria a whole bunch. But this thing kept popping up called Tailwind, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, this looks like Bootstrap but worse. I don't think I'm going to be interested in this. So I ignored it for a while. Then I used it on a team that I was working on because another one of the developers liked it, and generally when I'm running a team, I don't care about UI frameworks, take a strong stance, and I would let other teammates bring on the things they cared about. And holy shit, I fell in love with Tailwind fast. It didn't feel like a component library, like this big opinionated thing forcing me to do stuff in a certain way. It was way more focused. It was just CSS, but easier to write. And it's fully changed my understanding of what the role of libraries is in my UI design. And I want to go over a bit how I have changed my own thinking on what a UI library even is, much less like its role in a code base and how we build around them. What are the types of component libraries? Let me open up everyone's favorite app quick. Component, or I should say, rather than component library, UI libraries. I think that there are three core types. We have extensions of CSS. This would be things like Sass, Less, and I will argue throughout this, Tailwind. We have behavior libraries, otherwise known as headless UI libraries pretty often. Things like headless UI,
There's also styled components you can use, but I also don't like them that much. For the most part, it's just the same thing, but it's instead of creating CSS files, you create JSX components. But I didn't notice a lot of difference. I think that's yeah, I saw on the Uniswap project the style components. They use style components. And this is one of the hardest parts for me to figure out which one to use because there's so many differences. There's so many different libraries. It's not clear which the differences in and how that's going to impact everything else as it scales or as it grows. It's very difficult to think about it.
Radix, React Aria, and there's tons of others that I'm sure I'm forgetting, glossing over, and I apologize to all of them. This is less about any one specific library, more about the types of libraries and how to make good decisions around them. The third, and one that I see people talking about most often, is style systems. So there's libraries that have styles built in, things like Tailwind UI, Daisy UI, Mantine, and you could argue that MUI falls here, but we're going to go into that in a bit. So I want to start with the premise that these are the three core types of libraries that exist, or at the very least, the three spaces that a library can exist within. That all said, libraries don't have to live in exclusively one of these. So here I made a quick Venn diagram splitting these three types up into CSS++, so things that are like CSS but better, behavior libraries, which are things that encode behaviors like a drop-down, a button focus, and all of the chaotic accessibility types of things behind that, and then style systems, which are things like Bootstrap that are very much component systems that you apply on top of your DOM. To quickly just drop some things into these, like we can put Tailwind in here, but we can also throw like Sass in here for behavior libraries. I mentioned Radix, Headless UI, React Aria. So React Aria, oh, no, it's not one of these. This is Bootstrap. It's probably the best thing for you. I think it's very important to recognize where the tools you're looking at using and comparing fall on a chart like this. Also throw Tailwind. I guess actually, Tailwind UI fits somewhere more interesting. The thing that I keep having come up that has been recently frustrating to me is Material UI, MUI. If people keep asking me, why am I using Tailwind and not using MUI? Why would I use Tailwind when it's basically just Bootstrap when I could use MUI instead? Do you see why I get confused when people say Tailwind is like Bootstrap, so you should use my UI instead? Do you see why this line of questioning annoys me? It does not make any sense at all. Tailwind is a better way to do CSS. I picked Tailwind because I want to do some CSS. I want to have a style system that I own. I want to build my own style system using Tailwind. Bootstrap is a style system itself. A single class in Tailwind usually results in one line of code of CSS. So if I go to the Tailwind docs quick, I'll pick a random piece. We'll go to justify content. You see here all the justifies map to exactly one line of CSS. Now let's go to the Bootstrap docs. They have some amount of like helpers in their layout stuff. Like these are kind of helpers. However, what they expect you to use are their buttons. Button. Let's see how much CSS it provides. They don't even tell us in here. Button primary adds all of this shit. Button adds all of this shit. Can you customize Bootstrap? Sure. Are you going to have fun customizing 50 lines of CSS because you want to change how the button behaves and you commit to Bootstrap? No, you're going to have a miserable time. Bootstrap gives you opinionated, pre-designed components that if you're happy with, cool. But the reason people kept going to Bootstrap was a combination of CSS being hard to write, design being hard to pick up, and developers being lazy. One of those has been resolved by Tailwind, and developers who are lazy are more likely to get things done properly with Tailwind. And then there are also now solutions like Daisy UI, which I bring up a lot on stream, because Daisy UI is built on top of Tailwind instead of being built on top of traditional CSS, which means you can take a component here, use their button, and underneath it is a bunch of Tailwind classes. And you can even here take a look at the HTML. I thought they actually dumped the CSS that it creates for you. Generally, though, the cool part of Daisy UI is that rather than being built on top of CSS with tons of chaotic stuff, Daisy UI is built on top of Tailwind. Personally, I prefer the way Tailwind UI does this. Yeah, I'm a Tailwind fanboy. But Tailwind UI, although it costs money, I'll be clear, yes, it costs money. It's a good design, costs money. It's a thing you'll learn quickly as you like, start running companies and building things. The code examples here, like the stuff you get from Tailwind UI, you don't npm install it. Don't npm install your style system. Please don't npm install your style system. Your website deserves better. They just give you the source code. So when I use Tailwind UI, I go through here, I look at these class names, and I copy paste things in my code base. And that's how you use Tailwind UI. It's great. Yes, I did buy it. I actually bought the team license that thing because it was worth it for us. It is something we use heavily and we care a lot about, so we bought the team license. Fun fact, word wrap's a thing. If long lines are the thing you're complaining about, you just don't write a lot of UI.
And that's the problem because I think that it is very expensive. I think it's $600. So for me, it's not worth it. And that's why I think I didn't like it as much, because I was probably using the free version. I don't know where they have the prices here. Yeah. So I don't think it's worth it just to do a portfolio. Maybe we can use in another projects, but it's lifetime access. It's hard because I can use this money obviously for other stuff that might be that's gonna have a higher return on investment, I think, for me on the short term than investing on this. And I can just use another library, so I don't think I'm gonna use this one. But it seems to be the best one. So I think once I save enough money, I'm probably gonna buy this. I think I wanna try to do it with the Sass thing here. So install normally, I think I'm gonna install for with TypeScript. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I should have done this off stream, but I didn't know. I forgot that the way that I set everything on the portfolio was like that, and I forgot about Git as well because I reformatted the computer, so everything is new again. So I forgot that I had to do this kind of stuff. I thought I was gonna be able to just go there and then change the things. But yeah, it's better. It's a lot better to do this as well because I can because the way that I did things there is not good. So if I redo everything, then it's gonna be a lot easier. I should also probably put comments everywhere so I remember each time I come back what I did. Which is also something I didn't do often when I do this, when I started working on this. It's crazy how much I learned as well, just by going through the projects from what I did there, how much my mind changed or the way that I think changed. Obviously, I can't do it off the top of my head yet, and I think that's normal. But the way that I think about things changed a lot after going through the other projects. Yeah, so instead of separating from backend to front end and backend, then I can use Next.js and I can build a simple backend on Node with Node.js inside of here, and I can use that backend and use serverless functions. Pages. It's been a long time as well, so I'm gonna have to research a lot to remember how to do everything.
Like lines get long. This lets me write everything very fast. I'll go into pros and cons of all these solutions in a bit, but I want to keep placing things where they live and discussing the value that they bring in those places. So in here we can put Tailwind UI because it is very specifically a style system, but it shows you how to combine headless UI and Tailwind, which is really interesting. Because Tailwind UI is arguably here, but it lives here. It looks like honestly if we were to put master somewhere, it would probably go here because it's trying to be a combination of style system and building their own virtual CSS language. It's interesting. Not sure how I feel about it just yet, but it's a very interesting development, and I'm excited to see where it goes. What else is there? Mantine. I think
I'm gonna create the .env file and see if it gets pushed with the commit. I think I'm gonna do an open empty one. Maybe I should do with .local. I'm not sure. I think the difference is just in the specification, let's say. I don't think there's any inherited or any difference between doing .env .local and just .env. Yeah, it was pushed. I don't think it's gonna change here, so I have to delete and then pull, I think. Let me make sure that I didn't write anything there. Because it's added, I think. Yeah, so now it's fine. You want to go to the bathroom, then I'll watch some of this video to understand. I'm gonna spend some time thinking about how to structure the CSS, because I did a lot of CSS that is gonna require me to change a bunch of different things. So I have to think about that. I can't use Bootstrap, I think, because Bootstrap is sure there's not enough space to customize things, if I remember correctly. So I have to spend time thinking about the CSS. But after that, I think what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna spend a lot of time probably figuring out or thinking about the CSS. But after I do that, I'm gonna start building the routing. Yeah, I'm gonna erase this stuff and then build the routing here. And then I'm just gonna copy the code that I have from the other project into this one, by changing the structure of it until it gets exactly the same. And then from that point, I think I'm also gonna deploy everything and redeploy. So delete the other one that I have, or maybe deploy this one to another one. And I think that at that point I'm gonna do that stuff off string probably. Then only after I do all of this stuff, then I can start working on building the MetaMask and the NFTs. So Braba. Those are the hardest contents to find as well on how to structure things. There's a lot of content that explains how things work uh, with the CSS, but not that many that say what are the best practices for something that is gonna, or it's the best way to structure the project, the CSS, and the other folders. The other folders, I think there are a lot of stuff. It's just separate things in components, and then utils, and it depends on the project as well. Maybe it is your install. It's probably the other way around. And there we go.
Mantine is basically just like a new flavor of MUI focused on React. 100 plus components. Yeah, it looks like Mantine definitely fits within here. So I'm gonna do something important. We're gonna label this section here. This is component libraries. The harsh reality is most companies need a component library of some form, whether it's one they built themselves or it's one that they npm installed from somewhere else. Component libraries allow for a centralized place to unify a design language across an application. So buttons consistently look the same, so drop downs consistently look the same, etc. I would argue this is our job as front-end developers. We are building user interfaces. I personally think we are giving up one of the most important parts when we npm install a solution from here. And even if you don't want to build your own component library, I think it gives you significantly more control and flexibility if you use the component libraries that are built, they're the style systems that are built on top of a better CSS primitive. So if you combine something like Tailwind with Tailwind UI, or use Tailwind and Headless UI to build your own thing, or grab Daisy UI, which I guess kind of fits like here and here it's using Tailwind, but what Daisy UI itself is just here, but by using Tailwind it fits between the two. But using these types of solutions to get you to here, because we all kind of want to live in the middle. We all have to be in the middle to some extent with the things that we build. And Tailwind is just giving us this one thing here. And I think this is where a lot of the pushback on Tailwind comes from, is people think it's here and they get mad because they don't like things here. It's not here and they get mad because it doesn't do the things that are here, and they're used to being here and they don't see any reason to leave. I think those are core reasons why Tailwind gets so much shit. And I think all of those are pretty unfair and come from a place of bias. The bias being, I don't have to think about my styles. We're building websites, we're building interfaces, we're building user experiences. We should think about our styles. To me, not doing this would be the equivalent of a backend engineer not thinking about their data. Like you should think a decent bit about where your data goes and how you work with it. There are packages that will make that easier for sure. But abstracting that away into something like this just means you have to learn way weirder shit when you have a problem that the libraries that are provided do not solve. There have not been any problems we've had at Ping with Tailwind that we couldn't solve with Tailwind or around Tailwind very easily. When it comes to heavier component libraries, you need to know them very well, and you need to know their limitations very well in order to work around them at all. Simple things like resetting a sub input in a field in a form in MUI requires an intimate knowledge of React, an intimate knowledge of forms, and an intimate knowledge of MUI's weird prop passing behaviors, so you can actually get a ref down to the input underneath. Those problems are pretty damn common in MUI land and in this component library space. When I have those problems, I go to my designer developer team that builds the component library. Right now, that team is Bryn. Previously, that team was a fantastic group of engineers at Twitch. But you should own this. Even if you aren't particularly familiar yet with how to build these things, maybe for your first ever app, if you're okay with things not working exactly how you need them to, npm install MUI, use that for a little bit. And as soon as you start running into problems and frustrations, on your next project, drop it. There is very little need for anyone other than like a backend leaning developer that's trying to ignore the front end as much as possible to use something like MUI. I don't want to shout out one person in particular. The one MUI user that I'm okay-ish with him using MUI, Aiden, the creator of FaucetBot. He's a backend engineer. He wants to focus on backend engineering. He wants to build crazy infrastructure and crappy interfaces to get to it. MUI lets him do that very, very quickly on a website that looks But that was the goal. MUI and things like it are choosing to limit the quality of your design to the opinions of MUI and what it's providing. So if we were to do, one of my favorite chart types, a spectrum. On one side we have 0, ugly. On the other side we have 10, beautiful. I think all of these solutions enable very different ranges of capability. So let's start with just vanilla CSS. I think vanilla CSS can get you this whole range easily. I think something like Tailwind cuts off the lower half with some of the opinions encoded. If you really want to, you can make Tailwind ugly, but it's like it takes a good bit of effort because the things it provides are solid. So Tailwind gives you a slightly better starting point in terms of how uglier things can be. It like makes consistency much easier, and then gives you a way higher cap. Something like Material UI starts you off at a slightly better place, but it caps off incredibly hard because at that point you're gutting MUI and building your own thing. And you can do that. I'm not gonna say you can't. I'm just gonna say you'd be way better off starting with almost anything else. That is not going to be the best path to what your goals are. I can promise you that much. And if we look at what other solutions do we have in here, yeah, don't use Bootstrap 2022. You know better. I think this summarizes this particular point I wanted to make, that like Tailwind greatly expands the range of quality of design that you can create, but you are creating it. Material UI is committing to live within a certain range, and depending on your goals, like if your goal is I've been here for too long and I want out right now, maybe Material UI is an okay solution. But if your goal is to build something and move it to the right as far as you can over time, Material UI is not going to help you get there. All Material UI is going to do is get you out of this range. Once you're out of that range, it's very limited with how much further it's going to help you. I think there's one more important sub-branch to go on here, and somebody just called it out in chat: style components. Actually, we'll go back to what somebody else asked. Apparently, I want to clear up the difference between Headless UI and Daisy UI. That's a very good point. I want to be very clear about the difference between these things. These are CSS. These are JavaScript. These change how things look. These change how things work. Daisy UI is a bunch of pre-written Tailwind classes so that you have a button that looks a certain way. Headless UI is a bunch of unstyled components and hooks to make a drop-down look and work the right way with accessibility, to make a modal look and work the right way with accessibility. These are how you actually construct the elements on the DOM with behaviors in JavaScript that handle your like behaviors for your components. These are how they look. I would argue these two have way less in common than anything else. I hope this helps clarify the difference between them. But something like Tailwind UI, for example, in their code, this one doesn't have it. Maybe if I use React well. No, it won't. On some of the examples in Tailwind UI, I don't know if they're going to show any here. Maybe they have like one drop down or something. Okay, so this might work. The heading. Maybe they have code in this one. Yes, they do. So in here you see menu and transition are being imported from headless UI. That's because these components include behaviors. They don't include styles. So when you menu as div, you're using menu, the JavaScript helper that the Tailwind team wrote as part of headless UI, to make this correctly appear in the DOM as a menu nav element, such that these buttons behave correctly and these transitions introduce and remove items correctly according to ADA expectations and accessibility needs. So this is the JavaScript behaviors that you should be writing in order to make your things accessible and behave correctly, provided as a component library. If you go to like Radix UI or React Aria, I think Radix UI is the one that I see people talking about the most. That's pretty dope. Radix UI does not have any styles at all. They even call it out here. It's unstyled, accessible components for building high quality design systems and web apps in React. These primitives handle things like an accordion. So when you open and close it, things appear underneath and still adhere to expectations around ARIA labeling and such. This doesn't define how it looks at all. This purely makes it behave correctly, and it does nothing else. Behavior libraries are for how things behave. Style systems are for how things look. CSS++ is for how you make them look a certain way. So they have to do a date picker or a similar component with Tailwind. Usually I start on Tailwind UI. It looks like they don't have a date picker. So I Google search React date picker. I look at this. I check to see if it's fine. And I use it. Date pickers are the weirdest example ever because date pickers uniquely suck and should be provided by the browser and aren't. I went npm install a date picker because it's a very complex piece of UI I don't feel like fucking building. It falls in a very, very unique category in that way. Oh, we did not talk about Chakra. So if I understand correctly, Chakra also falls under here, but it like blends into the style system. I've only
thing that I'm thinking about it and I'm not sure is that if I'm gonna do links here, I don't know if it makes sense to make things with links, because then I would have to create a page for each one. So in the navigation, if I create a link for each element in the same way that it is on the project, if doing the router stuff that I was talking about, if that makes sense, because then for each part I'm gonna have to create a page, but each part works better as a component instead of a page because they're all on the same page. So I'm not sure if it makes sense to use a navigation there. I think it only makes sense for the certificates, because the certificates are on another page, if I remember the way that I did it. So I think what I'm gonna end up doing is just a bunch of different components on the home page. Or I can create 2 different pages and then route between them on the home page. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Because later on I'm probably gonna do a blog. And the blog is gonna be a whole another project, I think. And then I'm gonna... Yeah, but then if it's another project, I can just link to the project. Yeah, I have to study that again to remember how it works. Because fundamentally there is confusion in my mind of when to use what, when to use external links and when to use the site links. I think it makes more sense if I use an external link for the blog because it's another site. So then it doesn't make sense to build a page for this inside of this one. Yeah, I think that the links for the pages inside of here should only be for if you have multiple different tabs and you wanna, and each different tab has different things on it. So I don't think it makes sense for me to do that because it's not a big project, it's just a couple of things. So I think I'm not gonna do routing now that I think about it. It's probably the reason why I didn't do it in the first place. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the question I have to search for is how to do navigation. What's the best way to do navigation on Next.js? That's probably what I'm gonna look for.
You play with Chakra a bit and kind of annoyed me. It looks like it has a very, it almost looks like this actually. Chakra's exactly like Mantine. No, Mantine is way more like fully featured components. Like it has 100 plus components. This is not that. That Chakra has like 20 components at most, if I recall. Yeah, they don't have anywhere near as much stuff. It kind of is all three though, because it has its weird like CSS plus syntax for its margin definitions and shit. It kind of has styles built in that you have to be familiar with to work around. It has hooks for behaviors and things like that. When I said we want to be here, I meant we want to build here. We want to build the thing by combining the best parts from these areas. I've tried Mantine, I've tried Chakra a little bit, and it felt like another component system to learn, and another CSS solution to learn, and another style system to learn. Another spectrum we could look at here of like a vertical, it's CSS, and on the top here, it's some weird shit. And on this spectrum, Tailwind's pretty low. It's pretty close to just being CSS. I even say Bootstrap.
Let's come back a bit.
Bootstrap's a little further. But something like Chakra just hangs out up here alongside MUI. Like these aren't like when you learn Chakra or MUI, you're learning Chakra and MUI. When you learn Tailwind, you're getting better at CSS. If your goal is to avoid CSS, if you want to like draw a line here and say I will never go below here because I'm a backend developer, I don't care about what lives underneath there. Sure, go hang out in this land. Telling me you use Chakra UI and that it's like Tailwind but better is like telling Primeagen you're using Node.js, it's like Rust but better. We care too much to feel that way, which is the difference in goals and objectives here. It's so much to learn. I don't know if y'all don't see it because you've been using it a bunch, but use color mode value is a hook that is specific to Chakra that you have to know and understand the behaviors of, and then combine with additional React hooks that live within React, and then understand how these all interact with the components that are provided and the behaviors inherent to that. It took me a bit to figure out how you actually trigger this. Like tabs has an on change that calls with an index, and I guess whatever you put in tab list is inferred as the children that tabs will call with. But is there a way for me to put a custom value here instead of an index? Maybe I want to pass like an ID and have the ID get put here instead. If I did that, there's no way it would be type safe because the definition isn't smart enough to go that way. But no, you need to understand Chakra deeply to use Chakra. If you use Chakra every day and you've never used these, then you're installing a bunch of JavaScript that you're not using. I can't say for sure how tree shakeable Chakra is, but by the string/JavaScript nature, my assumption is not very. Like I cannot imagine a lot of these behaviors being tree shaken because there are keys on the props and the components that you're using. The lock-in here is absurd. Not just like code-based lock-in, but brain lock-in. You start to use your brain the Chakra way, not the browser way. With Tailwind, you're only using the things that you use. When you add a new class name in Tailwind or in your UI when you're using Tailwind, the Tailwind compiler sees that and it adds that Tailwind into the CSS file that gets compiled out. Time for the style components rant. Style components was very important. Style components pushed forward the rate at which we as developers could build our own component systems in things like React and big applications. When at Twitch we moved away from rolling our own chaotic state shit to build our own component library and started using style components as a way to apply and change styles in components. Style components is a pretty powerful primitive for building a component library out of a place like Twitch. So revolutionized how we build component lives in React. This is also the problem with style components. Similar to Storybook, it is only good at that. Style components were talked about very, very positively by many people, including myself, because it was one of the easiest ways to build a component system, to have a blob of, I'll pull some code examples for us to look at. So here's an example of a style component. In a style component, you can just write CSS with the little backticks and also call the props that get passed in that are properties maybe you have like in this case primary, which adds in background white, color black. What's funny here is even in their example here, it is improperly highlighting things. Like this should be highlighted the green color and it's not, or this shouldn't be highlighted green and it is. It's funny that like the homepage example doesn't parse correctly for a highlighter because it is such a bastardization of CSS and JS. It is a messy combination of the two. And the TypeScript like definitions around it can be obnoxious as well. The reason I bring this all up is because when I had to make a button that had 15 different properties and those properties resulted in slightly different CSS, this was one of the best ways to do that. And for a while, it was the only quality way to do that. The problem is, what if I have a div inline and I want to add two classes to that, or I want to add two properties to that, or I want to add flex and I want it to align right. Now I have to take that div, break it out from the return, make a style const, I have to come up with a name, which is one of the hardest underrated parts. You have to come up with a name for whatever you've broken out this container to be. Now this container is named flex right, and I have made const flex right equals style.div, apply all of those properties, then render that in the component. Now I have another component that needs the flex left instead. I shrug, I copy paste the flex right, I rename it flex left, I change the one property and I reuse that. In Tailwind, you just write a string. The harshest reality that we got out of style components, and honestly, I thank style components for it. The best thing we learned from style components, inline styles are actually good. For a long time, we hated inline styles. Inline styles are actually good. I personally learned this when I started doing more React Native dev, and inline styles are pretty much the only way to do things. Inline styles enabled us to quickly and efficiently apply styles to a thing when we were building our user interfaces. And the philosophy I quickly developed, let me just write a quick demo component here. The thing that I learned from React Native very quickly that made me a much faster React developer, when I started thinking about things this way, man, did I get way faster as a developer. This is the section that describes how a thing looks. This is the section that describes what the thing does. And if you do your best to think about your components in this way, suddenly class equals a bunch of shit goes here. You just feel less bad about it because that's the role of this section.
I'm gonna search for the navigation first, then I'll go back to that when it gets to the point of doing that.
Everyone. Over the past few videos, we've explored the page-based routing mechanism that Next.js offers. We have seen how to create a route for the root of our application, how to create nested routes, how to create dynamic routes, and also catch-all routes. But throughout those videos, we navigated to the different pages by entering the URL in the browser address bar, which of course is not how a regular user would navigate in our application. Typically, we would have a UI element like a link which the user can click to navigate to a different route, but the user could also be navigated programmatically to a different route after an action has completed, for example. In this video, let's understand navigating to different routes using an element in the user interface. For our first example, let's try to navigate from the home page to the blog page. To perform client-side navigation, Next.js provides us with the link component. So in index.js, within the pages folder, at the top, import link from next/link. And then in the JSX, we can use this link component to navigate to any route in our application. And here's the syntax. First, we specify the link component. Within the link component, we add an anchor tag. The text between anchor tags will be the display text, which is blog for our first example. Now the change here is that instead of specifying the href attribute on the anchor tag, we specify on the link tag. So href is equal to /blog. /blog here represents the route that we want to navigate to. If we now save the file and take the browser, we should see the blog text being rendered. This is a clickable element. When I click on it, we are navigated to /blog, which is the blog page. Our client-side navigation is successful. So import link component and invoke it with an anchor tag and an href prop. Let's do this one more time to make sure we get this right. For example 2, let's navigate to the product page. So right after the first link, I'm going to add another link tag, anchor tag, the text is going to be products, and href is going to be /product. This corresponds to our product folder and index.js. If we now go back to the home page, we should see the products link, and when I click on the link, we see product 1, 2, and 3, which corresponds to our product list component. Now it's also quite common to navigate back to the root of your application. So for example 3, from this products page, let's add a link to go back to the home page. So for that, open index.js, which is inside the product folder, and at the top, import link from next/link, and within the JSX, add link component, anchor tag, the text is home, and the href is going to be equal to just a /. This represents the root of our application. If we now go back to the browser, click on products, we should be able to see the newly added link to go home. Click on that, and we navigate it back. Our code works as expected. 1, 2, 3, and so on. Go back, click on product 2, and the same happens. You're able to successfully navigate to the dynamic route. Now, although this works fine, you might not always have the freedom to hardcode a dynamic route like we see here. The product ID can be passed in as a prop to the component. We, of course, are not sending in prop, but let's assume the prop does exist, and let's assign a default value of 100 for
I should think what's the best way to do it. I should put the navbar here, and I think the way that I did it is actually the correct way, probably. I probably thought about the same stuff as I'm thinking now, but then decided that it's not worth it. The only reason for putting a link is for the certificates, because the certificates page opens up another page. So that would be... But then I remember that I wanted to do... Well, maybe not. And this is interesting as well. Oh no, it's because of the local host. I think... Yeah, I'm not sure now.
What kind of use could he make of such a tiny creature? Or are you more...
I'm not sure if it opens on another page or if it opens on the same page. The certificates is on the same page. So I should probably do a link for this. And the blog doesn't make sense because I think I want to separate the portfolio from the blog. I think that's a better thing to do. Because that way, if I want to sell the blog later, I can do that. It's not attached to my portfolio, to the structure of everything. So I think it only makes sense to do navigation for both of these things. And then, so maybe I should create a link here. I don't understand why this error. Oh, href is missing. And then I will create 2 different pages. One for this stuff that I have. Our main page. Main TSX. Maybe it will make sense to do the link for the NFT stuff as well. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. And I think the way that a CSS works is like this. So I should put everything on styles, and then I just call the name of the thing. Which is not that hard, actually. Yeah, I just import. So It works like a normal CSS. Oh, but then I have to put. Let me think. I'm trying to think about why is it structured this way. Because it doesn't change much. You still have to put you still have to access this style from this thing here. I'll think about that later. And then I'll create a different link for certificates. Yeah, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this actually. Oh, unless I put the navigation on that file. And where is it? It's not here. Header. Yeah, I think I have to put this stuff there on this one then. I'm gonna do like this. And then I just remove this or yeah, contacts. Yeah, but then I don't need to put this one as well. Just do like this. And then I can actually put this one in components as well. So there's actually not a lot of stuff that I have to do actually. I was thinking about uh, that would be better to do the routing, but I don't think that makes sense actually now that I think about it because I don't have any other pages, it's just that this one. Oh, and I did for the wrong one. It should be here actually. And certificates. Yeah, the only thing different is gonna be the CSS, I think. And then I can start working on adding the other stuff. Oh, and also the database. That's gonna be different as well. The email thing.
for use in our component. Now to navigate to this product ID, we simply have to use string interpolation for the href attribute. So I'm going to copy paste it, and href use backticks, but the product ID is the prop. So href is equal to curly braces, backticks/product/product ID. Let's find product ID to the text as well. If we now head back to the browser, we should see product 100, on click of which will take us to the details page of the same product. So our link component-based client-side navigation is working as expected. Now one prop I would like to highlight about the link component is the replace prop. On product 3, I'm going to set the replace prop on the link tag. Now in the browser, let's observe the back button behavior. Click on products, click on product 1, and click back. Click on product 2, and click back. But when you click on product 3, and click back, you're brought to the home page instead of the product list page. So the replace prop will replace the current history state instead of adding a new URL to the stack. Something to keep in mind. Alright, that is about the link component. Now it's very important to note here that the link component is used for client-side routing, which means routing within your application. If you want to navigate to an external website, you should use the plain old HTML anchor tag. Also, you shouldn't be using a plain HTML anchor tag for client-side routing, as it would make a new server request, and any client state you're maintaining will be erased. So to summarize the link component, import link from next/link, include it in component with an anchor tag for the text and an href for the route. In the next video, let's learn how to navigate programmatically to a route in our application. See you in the next one.
I don't understand why this also gets the thing on the wrong spots. It's probably something with the IDE, the VS Code configurations. There's probably a better way to do this as well. Definitely a better way. Maybe I should change that as well. Remember I did it like this just to save time. So I write everything manually here and then I loop through them. Through each one to get the certificates. But it also doesn't change a lot because I think there's enough courses and I don't think I'm gonna do... I did a lot more courses actually. After I did this thing. Probably 6, maybe even 10 or more courses, but I don't think it's worth putting here. So let me see. Nav link. How do I start this? Oh, next start. No, but it should be yarn starts. Don't understand why it didn't work. Maybe I'm on the wrong folder. Huh. Do I wonder if this is a problem? Oh, fuck. I think it is. Yeah. The same mistake that I did before. Forgot to change the directory. But now that I think about it, why I'm doing everything on this one? I think I'm gonna move everything from the parent directory. And then I have to add the thing again. Yeah, now it should work. Oh fuck, I don't have the folders for images. That's why it's not working. Let's see, images. I should probably put on the main one. Yeah, these three here. I also did things with this thing here. I remember spending some time thinking about that, researching that as well, how to search for the images. So maybe I'm gonna have to change this. It's probably better if I use Next.js image. I'm gonna search for that because I know I can use Next.js image, the image component, but I don't remember how the structure works, if they tell you to put things on the public folder or not. I'm also using GIFs, not images. But I think it works anyway. Yeah, at least it shows up. Okay. Yeah, so this is the problem. I have to change the images. And then I'll probably have to change this stuff as well. I think I need this thing here as well. Maybe I do. It still doesn't change anything. But these are not gifts, I think. They were just certificates. Yeah, I think these ones are actual images. So I'm not sure why it's not loading. Mm. Oh, so yeah, that's the difference. I have to put them on a public folder. I knew there was something about that. Just didn't remember if that was the case or not. And then I have to import them on a different way, I think. Yeah, then the path is different. I'm gonna try to remove this stuff here. If I just put the name, it's probably gonna work. And maybe I have to restart the server as well. It doesn't seem like it did anything. It can't be a problem with the images, obviously, because it's working on the other one. So they're messing something up, but I'm not sure what. It should be the name here. Maybe I'm missing the thing to specify the directory. It would be like this. But I don't think that's the case. Yeah, doesn't work. Maybe I have to do this again. But it wasn't working with the require either. So, and the other ones still have require as well. And it doesn't work.
Hello guys and welcome to my YouTube channel, codename Utopia. It's Simon, as usual. So I'm back with another video. My old laptop had issues, so I had to replace it with another one. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to navigate to a section of your web page through the navbar. Like for this, let's use this website as an example. I just did a recreation tab. Let's say you want to link to this our product section here. That's what we want to link to. We want to put the link somewhere here, maybe here. So that's what we're going to do right now. Without further ado, let's get right to the video. So let's go. Let me on my Wi-Fi and connect. So first of all, you need two packages. So let's talk about the domain server here. And what the two packages we need is React Router DOM and React Router Hashlink. So those are the two packages we need, and those are what we're going to install right now. Let me check. My Wi-Fi is connected. Yes, it's connected. Okay, so yarn add React Router DOM. That's one package we need. The other package we need is React Router Hashlink. React Router Hashlink. So now we're just going to wait for this to install. So now we've installed those packages. Like I can see that React Router Hashlink and React Router DOM. So first of all, as usual, we need to wrap this with browser router so that our app can have that navigation link. So just take that down. Put it. So normally we'll have this in our index. Yes, there's no normal chat, but that's what I do. But I'm just doing that as a quick project so you guys can see. So now we have browser router here. Then this is our link here. So we're going to change this whole link here. Okay, so we're going to put a link to. Now we're linking to the services. Say link to, and then we'll put services here. So services here. Now this is where React Router DOM comes in. React Router Hashlink comes in. So you guys look at this. I'm just going to place where import link. I'm going to put Hashlink. That's what I'm going to call it, Hashlink, like that, from React Router Hashlink. So I'm going to put it as link. Now you can put it as link, you can use that link like that. So I'm going to put it as link. Now we're going to link into hashtag services, like so, like this. So that's it. That's basically it. Now if you go to our services, I want to connect it. Now here we're going to pass in an ID like this of services. Or service. So it's not calling that now app of service. Yeah. Okay. So now we have that. So let's start with the server. So this is the link here, service. So if you click this now, do you see? Now we're in our service section. So now we're linking in the same web page. So let's make this look nice because it's very anyhow. Just link like that. So let's add smooth. Now it's going to make scrolling smooth. Actually, I'm going to make it scrolling smooth. Yeah, so now put service. Nice, it scrolls down. Go back up. It slows down again like that. So just for principal.
Nice. Yeah, but I wonder if it's gonna work on Next.js. Parts actually. It's probably not gonna work.
Let's do the menu.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, honestly, I wanna do this stuff off stream. I forgot I would have to do this. Actually, I didn't think about changing the thing, but I forgot the way that it was structured was really bad, and it's probably a better idea to move everything to Next.js. So, and in order to do that, I'm probably gonna watch a bunch of videos from this guy and
पर आपका फिर से स्वागत
think about how I'm gonna structure the CSS. It's not gonna be that interesting, I think. It's kind of annoying to do this actually. I think I'm gonna put the Web3 parts on the same project probably, but it's gonna be. So maybe I should do this on two folders anyway. I think I'm gonna do this in two folders. I'll put front end on this, and then I'll put the stuff on the smart contract on the back end, or because I'm gonna use hard hat probably. And this is gonna be really boring, I think. It's just gonna be figuring out which CSS library to use, how to structure the CSS library and change all the classes. And it doesn't seem, and then figure this stuff out as well. How to deal with the images and GIFs, which is also gonna be annoying. And then only once I have everything set up on this one. And I also think that the database stuff is gonna be interesting, but it's probably better to do on string because I don't wanna risk leaking anything. Which is another reason why this is not really good to do on stream, I think. And then once I have everything set up, then I think I can come back and do the Web3 parts of searching for how to build the NFT marketplace. Maybe I'll reuse the code from the other projects. That's probably what I'm gonna do. And I also have to think if I'm forgetting something that I have to set up and that I didn't because I have to reformat the computer, so I don't have to do it on stream again. Something, all the stuff on hard hat, I'm probably gonna have to download a lot of stuff there, which I forgot. Yeah, so I think I'm only gonna stream once I have everything set up, and then I'm gonna build the NFT marketplace inside of the portfolio, and which I don't think is gonna be that hard actually, but maybe it will be because I'll have to create the components, the cards to put the NFTs and the inputs. But I think it's gonna be pretty similar with the stuff that I did for Cello. So I'm gonna reuse a bunch of that code probably. And once I do that, then I think I'll start working on my own blog probably, or I'll think about other stuff that I can do. I'm gonna try to think about the use cases for NFTs, and I'm thinking about doing stuff with dropshipping or affiliate marketing. Those are the two ones that I'm thinking about, and thinking about the use cases or how to use stuff of Web3 combined with that. That's what I want to do, and I think that part will be interesting to do on stream, and also the other part. But this one, doing these things here, I forgot that that's like I said many times. So that I would have to clean everything up. So I'm gonna do this off stream, and then I'm not sure when I'm gonna come back, but next time I'm gonna continue to work this, and hopefully I'll have everything set up.